And now, Detailing Success and PNS Double Black present the Renny Doyle Podcast, a podcast for blue-collar entrepreneurs. Hosted by the detailer of Air Force One and founder of both Detailing Success and the Detail Mafia, Renny Doyle.
What's up, guys?
What's up?
Look at this crew.
Good morning.
Morning. Morning. How y'all doing?
Awesome.
Right? Yeah.
Optimistic, I think that's the word of the day, right?
Bam.
Took my shot of horse adrenaline. I'm good to go.
Horse adrenaline?
God, yes. I think that's what I went to bed with last night because, man, I just could not sleep. I think it was because I was so excited to see you gentlemen.
There you go.
That's what we'll go with. So,
I thought maybe because you were thinking of Santa Claus back there.
I am. There's Santa Claus. You see him? I put him back up. He's been up.
Surprised he's still standing.
Yeah, I won't let Diane in. You guys, there's a story behind that. Diane does not like Christmas blow-ups. You know, she hates them. But Chris brought me this one. So she actually went out one year, and the kids and I put a whole bunch out in the yard kind of as a joke, and she went out and slashed them all.
Whoa. That doesn't surprise me in the least.
Yeah. So she does not like them. So I don't know what her hang up is. But if you guys ever want to get her a gift, last night we went to a local search and rescue gift giving party, and somebody gave her a Christmas blow up decoration. So yeah, it's the gift that keeps giving.
Yeah, once people find out stuff like that, you're screwed because that's what you'll get from everyone for the rest of your life.
Well, if anybody needs a shipping address for the Doyles, hit me up privately.
Yeah, right. And the bigger the better, man. She likes to, we Darren and I said one day she's going to come home. We're just going to have like 42 different freaking Easter, Christmas,
Oh, there you go.
Halloween, everything up in the yard. And just, I'm afraid she'd take her gun out though. She doesn't like it. So, hey, what a man, we just had something really cool down here. Too bad Kevin and Chris, you weren't a little closer. We had a Christmas party with detailers. We had nearly 180, they said.
Wow.
Right around there.
Holy moly.
Yeah, so it was really started out the first year. I think we had like 27, and and it's really cool because the industry comes together and supports it, and Southern California is a big market. And it was great to see the families out, and I think that's why we brought you in yesterday. I was talking, and we were just kind of do a kind of a rollover for, what went on this year. And I was like, nah, and then Chris came up with this idea. He watched something, and then we grew it in. I said, you know what? Hey, let's invite some friends.
Well, where are they?
Yeah, exactly. So we just want to take and thank you guys for coming in, and let's jump into this. And then Chris, we're gonna have some. You saw my notes in there. We'll do some shout outs at some point.
Yeah. Hey, I'm gonna be here, but I'm gonna hide myself from the video just so you guys are a little bigger.
Sounds good.
All right.
Good. Well, so hey, let's talk about this. Is you guys go ahead and introduce yourself before we start.
Yeah, I'm Chris, and obviously it's Kevin. I'll let Kevin do his own intro. So we're from Detailers Roadmap, and Kevin's got a couple brands as well. He's a part of. We're just website and SEO dumb people. We do websites for detailing and PPF shops, and that's our MO. That's it. There's nothing really special. We might say we're special, but we do a little his and theirs, and I'm
kind of special on the short bus special.
You are short bus special.
Yeah, I got called out. I put that up, which I'm a special ed kid, and I got called out from somebody that does have a child with some needs, and he kind of jumped on me, and I could see it from his perspective, but I shared it from my perspective that hey, I lived through that, and it made me. I decided to be victorious and not a victim.
Yeah,
and he's got a whole different outlook, because he's got a child with those, with some conditions. And, but it was weird because Chris went to a car show and there was a short bus that was all hot rodded out. And then it said, I'm special, or, Mama says I'm special on the license plate. Mama says I'm special. But
it said something about window lickers, keep the windows clean or something.
There you go. Yeah. There you go. And so, but again, to my, I didn't take it down, and the guy was cool about it, but I lived through that, man, and I want to say, were those tough times? Yeah, but it makes you tough people too,
I usually look for malice in that sort of thing. When there's no malice involved, then we're not making fun of a particular person.
Amen.
I think I've said before with you, it's like stereotypes are there, and they don't necessarily mean that we're making fun of an entire group.
No,
in that case. But I can see how someone would take.
No, yeah. So it
Sure.
It was the first time that I've ever had to, and I really had to put myself in his shoes. And honestly, I can't remember his name, and I wish I did, but he was real good about it, because I don't know from his perspective, like, how did my mom and grandma feel? I mean, I'm sure they probably would have done the same thing he did, but from my perspective of being the kid, and I'm still a window licker. I'm still, I'm still special ed. I'm still ADD. I'm still dyslexic. None of those things have changed, not a one of them.
Yeah.
But so Kevin, go ahead. Let's introduce you. We'll go.
Yeah, I'm Kevin Davis, and from Detailers Roadmap, Detailers Helper, and a whole bunch of other things. We've been involved with Mafia for a long, long time, and like Chris said, we do interwebby things and SEO-y things, and online marketing and that kind of stuff. So happy to be here. This is always a fun time. I had a biohacking podcast this morning. That I rescheduled to be here.
Oh wow!
It's super important for me to be here, and thanks for having me. Appreciate that.
Sounds like fancy. We're not fancy.
I would like to point out that the 4 people on screen, I look like the only one who's not biohacking right now.
You're bio something, dude. Oh, yeah, you just don't see me from here down right now. They're mellowing out my thyroid meds to get me on new shit, man. I just puffed up like a freaking marshmallow. It does, dude.
Hey, it's a good time of year for that, right?
Yeah, no, it's not. I've never felt like this in my whole life. I feel like I'm walking around and I'm trying to grab shit. I feel like I got marshmallows in my fingers, and so Oscar, it's your turn. You want to follow?
I knew Kevin was going to be on here, so I had to make it to the gym before here just so I can feel like
he's got his push-up bar he showed us earlier.
Yeah, right there. So some adjusting. But good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Oscar Hernandez, owner and operator of 805 Detail Shop here in Ventura, California, and also the West Coast sales rep for Buff and Shine.
There you go. And don't forget,
so
Chris.
Happy to be here. Yeah, thanks guys thanks Renny for having me on.
You bet. And that's just different perspectives. And Chris is naturally on. He's going to be a part of this, because he was like, hey, check this out. And so here we are. I'm going to run through this, guys. I'm going to run through it. And Chris, you just step in anytime. You can put your mug on the screen anytime you want to. 18 months ago, I started warning people, man, change is coming. Is that, it's we have gone through artificially in a lot of ways, and look at how much money in debt our country is in the world, is that it had to end at some point. So about 18 months ago, we started making life changes, and we've continued to make those life changes. But for others, right now it could be a great opportunity, but for others, they're really in a challenging time. We're realizing some realities right now, but let's look at some facts. The stock market, not so bad. Inflation is coming down. Interest rates stop going up. And if you look historically, interest rates on homes isn't that bad even right now. It's not, it's been better, but traditionally this it's not a bad rate. Housing demands, we don't have a stockpile of houses. That could change, it could change really quickly. We'll see what happens. Gas prices are what they are. If you live outside of California, God bless you, but they're not going up. They're not $6 a gallon like they were. So why are we feeling some pain? Is a lot of us, it's just the service industries haven't experienced this normal phase. It's fall, it's November, it's demands on cash is going different directions. Things are self-correcting. People haven't experienced that. The right segment of society is fine, but there's a lot of people that are about ready to get their own world kind of corrected. The economy's down, but realistically, it's not great, but it's not terrible. The only thing that I sounded the alarm, and I continue to, is I saw spending habits, especially in the automotive industry. Spending habits were out of control. These people were just spending an ungodly amount of money on stuff that they necessarily didn't need. They wanted, and I think that it's going to be a lot of people in trouble. So right now, if you're doing business, smart, this economy, it should be a win-win situation for you. Regardless of what happens, you need to believe that you're gonna win anyway. Just go. Don't survive. Don't quit. Just figure out how to survive it. If it's a tough time, great. If it's not so tough, good. Go capture market share, because for some people, they're just not going to survive it. The economy's strong enough that you should be able to succeed. And matter of fact, grow. We've seen worse. You look at 08 through 12. I've never seen anything like that in even my youthful, back when I was a kid, living through some of the stuff that we faced in the late 70s, and just starting to get an eye for that stuff, being 10, 12, 13 years old and watching that stuff go down. But don't allow yourself to be defeated and have that outlook. And so with that, what do you guys think?
I mean, I think you're right. I was thinking about this morning. Chris sent us the list last night, and I was kind of thinking about it in the shower of all things and working out this morning. But Michelle went shopping yesterday and my wife went shopping yesterday to get kind of stuff for Christmas and all that. And she texted me. She's like, I'm literally standing here flabbergasted at the prices. Right. Like that's, because prices here are still pretty high. Inflation is adjusting, but there's a slow thing. And like, she was describing that it was like stunning was what her word was. But she had gone to get her hair done and, colored and all that kind of stuff, which is expensive. I was thinking about this in terms of like luxury type services and services that would not be considered necessities, like detailing. And she was like, man, this is too expensive. Should I look for other things and all that? And I'm like, well, you've been to that same person for 20 years. This is something that makes a difference in our lives for, in those different ways. And I thought in terms of, there are people in our position that are making that same decision about the business that we're in.
Amen.
with detailing. So that was the first thing I thought of. The second thing we have, we're coming up on Christmas this weekend. We had the nativity, a little kids nativity play this weekend at church. And one of the things they talk about this time of year is this hope. And I defined hope in such a way that hope is something we look forward to, right? And if you don't have that hope, then you're hopeless and you don't know what to do. And to your point, keep going, survive, work it out. Talking about the guy from 27 hours, the guy told about a friend that had been in an avalanche for 3 days and survived, and all of these different aspects. And I gave the example, what I try to do is I take snapshots of today of the things that are not going great, so that I can refer to those when I get past these things, like as a mental snapshot memory for myself, because I'll be like, well, this is going great now. Yeah. But, and see how far you've come. So that was kind of my major thoughts. That was a long answer, I guess.
Well, it's true though, because it's disposable cash. It's getting your hair done. Don't have the problem. I really miss it. But no, it's you look at that. It's in that mindset, Kevin. I think you just nailed it. Is that all of us? I'm looking at different things, and we've got different habits that we're adjusting to. But even our own decisions are really. It's like, whoa, should we do this? And so you're getting that effect. That's a cascading effect.
Mm-hmm.
Where are we at in that cascade? We used to be at the bottom. I think we've worked our way up. But are we at the hairdresser level? No, I think a woman's going to choose, having her hair done. Seriously, she's gonna have her hair done before she's going to get her car done. And as a husband, if I've got a car that needs to be done, but my wife, it's one or the other, I'm going to tell my wife to go treat herself.
And there's one more aspect for me and for us, and I'll shut up after this, but she's part of our brand. So there's a business aspect to her appearance.
Amen.
And so, and I think that, and I was thinking of it in terms of like realtors need clean cars, bankers need clean cars. There's this subset, and I would, if you look at the demographic and how you divide your targeting, that can make a big difference.
Yeah, great point.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll go next. I mean, one, I think the title's great. Be optimistic and win. So I mean, I'm like a data guy. If anybody knows me, like I love knowing when search volume is up for ceramic coating or down on PPF, and I love looking at that stuff. And just from a data standpoint, just so as a broad generality, we did see like dips, in quarter 4 for a lot of businesses in terms of just like search traffic. Not a crazy amount dip, but we did definitely see people appear to be less engaged on sites, right? Like maybe they're just kind of price looking, not even price shopping. Like maybe visiting the site and not clicking the form, not clicking the phone, which is interesting. We haven't seen that behavior. And I think going to your point of like 2018 to 2020, when everybody's thinking the world's about to end, those were banger years for a lot of people. And I think a lot of times it was tough for people to go from my business grew 20%, and then COVID 100%, or 80 or monster numbers. And then repeated that in 21 and then kind of had a lot of that in 22. I almost feel like we're kind of in growth numbers that we saw similar prior to 2018. But going to like the podcast name today, I think is spot on, is like I do this every year. I go through, and I think some detailers are going through it as well too, is like quarter 4, especially Thanksgiving, there is always a slowdown. It's cyclical. People just don't really buy a lot of $5,000 PPF jobs and $2,000 coating jobs as much when, the family needs presents for the year and you're going to travel. And so it's just human nature at this stage. And I love to do one thing right before the week before Christmas. I'm about to do it for the roadmap team, is like sit everyone down and be like, this is what we accomplished this year. And I try and every month I try and write down a big accomplishment, because it's tough to remember. In January, we hired 3 people. In Tuesday, on February, we onboarded 30 sites. On, March, I try and write, hey, and, November, we did our biggest charity auction we've ever done. It's hard to remember all that stuff throughout the year. So I try and every month write down one thing and then pull it all together at the end of December. And like, this was a big year, because everybody feels what's been tough for the past week or the past month. But there's been a lot of big pieces to be super positive about. And so
great outlook.
Yeah, that's kind of what I always think about when I think you kind of hit on the head with the title of this podcast for sure.
Well, I think what you just nailed on. And again, like I always tell people this is, people like, well, what am I going to get out of going to blank? What am I going to get out of being at Mobile Tech? I've been in business a long time, and I'm taking notes for my own business while you guys are talking. As part of it is be optimistic. Is you better freaking be open-minded and learn, right? And we just heard several things just come down right then and there. And I love the fact of price looking versus price shopping, because we're seeing the same thing even with trainings. Is we're telling, I've got a term I've used for 30 years. We're hunting. We haven't had a hunt in 10 years for training students. It's been that good of a period, but we're hunting. And we just forgot that we had to hunt all the time before. I mean, now it's just like the deer's walking into the camp and you just jump on it and cut its, go to town on it with a knife. Now we're having to go out and look for the damn thing. The herds got smaller. And so, it's an interesting. So Oscar, I want to ask you, because you're in a really unique situation. You're out at shops and stores a lot. What are you seeing? What's their mindset? Are they being real? Are they scared? Are they nervous? Are they optimistic? Where are they at?
Yeah, I mean, going out there, representing Buff and Shine and going into these stores across the country, pretty much since March, I've been doing it. I've seen a drastic change. The mentality has changed. When people are scared. And when it comes to numbers and price shopping, that's what they're always looking at. And I always put myself in their positions. I can put myself in a detailer's position as well as a store owner's position to see what they have. If I walk into a store and they got over 100 products, that's over 100 companies that they're trying to represent to get the bare minimum, and we are just, 5% of that at that. So I see it, and a lot of people, one thing that you said that I wrote down is, the hunting. A lot of people didn't have to hunt during COVID. Me as a detail shop owner, I didn't have to hunt. The money was just coming in.
Yep.
Like last May was my best month ever in business. Then I did so many coatings that month, but I never had to hunt for it. And now it's like you got to be able to go out there for stores, for the detailer store side of the house. They have to hunt. But if those detailers are not hunting those clients, the detailers are not buying the products. That means that the store owners are not buying from manufacturers. And these manufacturers are now starting to get scared because the orders went from 5,000 a month to 500 a month. And that's a scary feeling for these manufacturers that are putting these products into the stores. What I'm seeing and what I do is I always go on Facebook Marketplace and I see what the detailers are doing. Either they're doing 50% off, 25% off, or completely just selling their whole setups. I was just talking to someone I talked to Chris Warren about this on Monday night. Like, dude, go to Marketplace and see how many detailers are selling everything they got. And it's because, and the key thing to that is it says like new conditions, 1 or 2 years old. Where were we at in 1 and 2 years? We were during COVID. He started that business with that COVID money and it was banging but now that individual never had to hunt. He never had to do what we had to do prior to all of this starting, which is start up a business from the ground up and go out there and hand out 50 cards outside of Target on a Monday morning to try to get a detail for Tuesday. It's the hunt, and the hunt is real. But, tying it back into these stores is, I see it. It is a scary feeling. I've had store owners tell me if the economy goes like this for 6 more months, I will close the store down. Like that is to the point where they're at because detailers are no longer going in buying the products. And what's happening is that if they're not buying, it's because they're not getting business. If they're not getting business, it's because the clients are no longer choosing to get details. But one thing that Kevin said is, like realtors need clean cars. When I started my business, that's one thing that I always did. I clicked onto my chamber and I went on and I found those people that wanted my services. And I have one detailer that I maintain her car, but she also puts me on a flyer. And every home that she sells, it has a page on 805 Detail Shop. And all I do is maintain that car clean because I want those clients that are buying houses. Those are the ones that are going to get my services. And again, that's just the hunt that we have to do. What am I doing to get that hunt? What are the store owners doing to get that hunt? It's hard because the detailers are no longer going in there anymore. Then you got to deal with the online sales side of the house that I also deal with too, where it's a constant battle between storefront and online. Someone puts it on sale and then at the end of the day, everyone is just, what I don't like to see is that everyone's just dropping prices down, to try to beat the next guy.
It's a race to the bottom. That's a race. It's a race to the end.
It certainly is. And, that's how I'm seeing it right now in stores. The thing that's pushing a lot of stores here, especially in Southern California, is water. If they're pushing water to the stores, they're getting business. But the ones that are not pushing water, the DI water.
And there's people listening right now are going, what the hell? What are you talking about? You got to remember, most cities in California have got really crappy water now. Our city's got great water, but it's a rarity. So a lot of these detailers are going, and I don't understand it, but I don't understand their living situation. They are traveling to a store, getting supplies. Most of the time they're buying supplies by the day because they're really struggling, or by the week, but they're also picking up water daily because they don't have a good water source at home. Well, that time to get to that store, I mean, you look at the time to get to the store and then back. To me, that's a job. They just had a liability, not an asset. And so, I mean, we've got stores that are making money off the water, but in reality, a lot of the people that are using that water are really hurting. I wrote this down. Stability is tough. Survival is tough. Growth in a correction period, such as what we're experiencing right now, is tough. Choose your tough. Failing is going to be tough. Quitting is going to be tough. Giving up is going to be tough. So why not muster through this, muscle through it, get in there and figure out a way? Is that, I'll tell you, we've had to do this several times. And Kevin, you've been around long enough now. I'm sure there was lean years, when you come out and you go, hey, guess what, guys, detailers, I got a tool belt. Want to check it out? And, remember those startup days, they weren't always easy. And you had to stay positive. And feeding your mind, is all important. But I want to tell you is all these things are tough, but what's your tribe like? Who are you calling your tribe? Who do you surround yourself with? Because I'll tell you what, it's, if you go back, I don't know what year it was, but 150 years, the Donner Party, I would have been hanging out with the people that were living, not dying. And that's, if you guys don't know what that is, a lot of young people go research the Donner Party, survivalists. But that mentality is that will to live's got to be there.
Yeah, I mean, life is tough, right? Like, I mean, that's what I think we miss. That there really is, especially if you're an entrepreneur, small business owner, I mean, pretty much everything. Life is not easy. From day-to-day stuff to relationships to business to marriage to whatever, kids, everything is tough. So I like your idea of choosing your tough, because it and a lot of times it's not really a choice, right? Like it's tough. It's really how you respond to the tough. And we've been talking about this with this, and I stopped calling it a slow time. I've been referring to it as a challenging time.
Right.
And it's like, what are you doing right now? And then how can you not stop doing that when things improve? That's what I think is missing from a lot of small businesses is like, oh, I'm going to hustle right now because I really need to. Well, guess what? When you're in June, July, August, and you don't think you need to hustle, that's when you need to hustle even more and make sure all those systems are working.
Well, we just talked, we're real big into, we call it, you've got two ways to navigate through this is GPS. You can get a modern day GPS for navigation, and that's going to be your website. It's going to be social media, it's going to be your electronic newsletters. But right now, I think and GPS is hugely important. Like, we use it in search and rescue. We use it in flying. We use it even when I go out on my horse. If I'm going into the wood, I always know where I'm going. But I also use a compass. And that compass is relationships. It's old school and it works. We talked to a young man, Oscar totally built his business off of going to the chamber and getting engaged with building up relationships. One-on-one relationships are valuable. You still need all the assets. You need a nice website. You got to represent yourself well on social media. Those are all the support things. That's dialing in your GPS. But if you're not out building relationships. So we had a young man at the Christmas party look at Oscar and I. He's like, God, you guys weren't lying. This thing's changed my life. I mean, just getting involved in my community. He was slower when it was busy. And now that it's slowing down, he's busier because he's went out and he's building up relationships.
Renny, to me, it's embrace the suck, right? Like I said, it's what are we doing to embrace the suck? That's what I said. You just got to enjoy it. And it's tough times, but when it comes to building the relationships, what I hear a lot is, that's not my thing. I can't go out and talk to people. I'd like to think I'm not a people person. I like being in big crowds. I don't like being in stuff like that, but I had to put myself out there to build my business. And, and I talked to that gentleman again. I actually talked to him last night. He called me and I told him, I said, man, I just picked up another fleet just for the winter, just another fleet on a Saturday morning. I'll knock it out 2-3 hours. But you know what? That fleet pays the bills. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not detailing. It's just another fleet. Why? And I made that strictly off. And I told him, I said, man, I met her at BNI. She dropped BNI. I dropped BNI. We kept the relationship. And because I kept that relationship, I just picked up another fleet that I can do on a weekend. It's one Saturday that I'll work on the weekend. And she just wants today, like she's just moving on from whoever she was using before and said, hey, you know what? I'll give him a call. I know you're busy, but I'd really like for you to do it. this just came out of the blue. I wasn't out hunting for a fleet. It just landed on my lap, all based on relationships.
You know, let's go back to our shop in Idaho. We are so busy. I mean, we are cranking. To Kevin's point, to Oscar's point, we were in our. I mean, we couldn't see straight busy, and they just built a brand new supermarket in town, Albertsons, really nice store. And the manager calls me up, and I'd known him. He worked somewhere else, and he goes, "Hey, Renny, can you come by to the new store? I want to talk to you about. I need some work done." I'm like, "Okay." What he wanted to have done is every single week, once a week, he wanted to have the front of the store pressure washed, the front of the convenience store pressure washed, and all of the gas pump area, all the pumps, everything. The drive, he says, "I don't want any stains on this." And here we are at the busiest time, and he goes, "Give me a price." And I said, "I'm going to be honest. What's more important, quality or price? Because I'm so busy." He goes, "I know your work. It's worth it. You know, don't rip me off. But I know this isn't going to be cheap. I'm not looking for cheap. I'm looking for good." And to Kevin's point, we fit that into our schedule. Why? Because we are putting away for that slow time. That was money that just went straight into savings and didn't get spent. And it was a relationship that was built. And we got detailing out of it from the staff. The stockers would come in because we did all this in the middle of the night. You know, it was all done at night. We had another. Oh yeah, we could, you know, figure out how to go. Don't quit. Rest. You know, is don't quit. Get a second gig. You can do so much market share capturing right now, because look at with you guys, you know, with the websites. I mean, I'd be looking for companies that, you know, you guys have built for. I mean, all of your companies are going to make it through this because they're solid. But I would be looking for companies that are failing, that you can go capture anything they've got for SEO and stuff like that. You guys want to talk on that a little bit? Because that's okay. That's back to GPS. That's some technical stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and I always tell people, even regarding to not even SEO, but like Kevin really is a great, you know, protagonist for this, is that he kind of always had a great relation, is that the website's a tool, right? It's going to bring you new leads. So like in a perfect example, if we're slowing down, right, and maybe leads are not coming in as voluminous as they were 3 months ago, I look at this as like, this is a perfect opportunity. If you're truly slow, were you reaching out to those past customers that you've been dealing with for years? I mean, I talked to a guy the other day. He's like, "Man, I'm slow. I don't know. I got nothing on the books next week. I don't know what to do." And the first thing I asked him is, with the 900 leads your website got this past 6 months, how many of them did you reach out more than twice? Was it always that first week, or did you go back? And don't forget, you know, your best customer is someone who's already bought from you, someone who's already talked to you. It is so hard to get a handshake nowadays and someone on a phone call. But I'll tell you what, I mean, the cost per acquisition to get them in again is only a couple bucks compared to an average of $65 to get a new lead in. So when all these business owners are worried about new generation, new leads, I really got to ask themselves, if you've been in business for 5 years, how often are you just touching people once a month? You know, that's the whole reason why, you know, Renny's got a podcast coming out every week, got a newsletter. I mean, always top of mind. If you're watching him, you can use that same data points on your business. I know I keep using the same darn electrician every single time because he emails me every 3 months. You know, like he's just top of mind. But I can't remember the last plumber I used.
You know, and I had an experience happen yesterday. So I ordered Diane a new gift, and the business kind of dropped the ball. Understandable. So before, I wanted to see if I could get it somewhere else in town. And there's not a lot of options. There's furniture. It's a piece of furniture. And so there's only 2 options. So one of them dropped the ball. So I went to the other one. I walked through that place, and this is okay. This is the store that we spent in the last week. We averaged $1,000 a year. Pretty good customer, right? Of buying this and that for the house or the shop, sending people that direction. I walked in there and it's going to be probably $1,000 to $1,500 purchase. Not one person even made contact with me. Nobody. They're back there playing grab ass. They're on the phone. Nobody even said good afternoon. Not one. I was actually blown away that how can you be in a luxury business and not if that would have been Chick-fil-A, all those people would have been fired. I mean, because it's so your culture to that, to your point, Chris, is when's the last time you just called somebody up and told them, hey, thanks for doing business with us?
I had a marketing professor. I talked about this on one of our podcasts yesterday. It's that my marketing professor says, everybody thinks you have to be this much better. You only have to be this much better.
Yeah.
And that's what this little bit is, what differentiates you from your competition and gets those. And we talk a ton about lifetime customer value, to Chris's point. Those are the people, like if you're not touching those people every 2 to 3 months, you're losing money. Because it's them, it's their friends, it's their family, it's the people they go to church with, it's chamber members. That's a huge network. And to that point, one of the things that I used to have a boss that would, there's this old saying for old guys, Renny and I will get this. If you got time to lean, you got time to clean, right? But the idea is stop moaning about how you don't have anything to do and how your business is slow. Get to work. Like shoot content, contact customers, do all of these things. Chris is getting these calls all the time lately. Oh, my website's not producing and all this stuff. And all you have to do is say, well, how did you spend the last 3 days? Well, I went on Facebook. I was on this detailing group and I did this. And, it's like, did you go to any Rotary meetings? Did you go to a chamber meeting? Did you go to BNI? Did you make handwritten cards for your new customers or existing customers? We got speaking of that, listen to the Grant Menard podcast that we did early on. That is absolute gold for this topic, for how to get new customers.
That dude's magical, man.
How to foster relationships. Seriously, that was one of the best. But anyway,
that dude's beast mode.
Yeah.
Kevin, with that, with going out is planting seeds and then watering those seeds and see where they grow. I talk to a lot of detailers as I'm traveling in it, and I've walked into shops where they're just chilling on the couch on their phone on Facebook, complaining that they ain't got business. And I'm like, well, what are you doing here, man? Why aren't you out there passing out cards? And I always use the example when I had my grand opening at my second shop. We did a ribbon cutting. A lot of people, I'd say about 70 people showed up from the community, detailers, invited, everybody came out. And then the next day, I'm like, I got to the shop, I opened up, and I'm like, well, I didn't schedule anything. I was so worried about the grand opening where I closed shop. But I walked down to the Target Center and I started handing out business cards. I literally would just see cars. I would walk by, I'd come in, I'd just drop a card on their mirror. I had this thing where, I had headlight restoration, interior, exterior detail, and I would just check it off and put it on there. And that just generated leads. But, to your point is, what are you doing? A lot of it and nothing, with the websites. I don't have a great website because I've never used my website to get leads, because I'm more of building relationships, person to person. My referrals come from my clients, their family members, their friends. That's how I've built this. And a lot of people are afraid to do that because they depend on so much on social media and the web that they're just going to push out an ad. They're going to pay for ads. I've never paid for an ad on social media because I've never had to, because that's not how I built the business. But, to the detailers that are struggling out there right now, they're saying this is slow times. It's been like this every year around this time. I mean, it's raining here in Southern California. It's going to rain till Friday. This is devastating for detailers in this area because I know no one is working unless they got a shop. But get out there, hit the streets, get out of your comfort zone, talk to people and network, build those relationships up. When you talk about shoot content, I remember I used to just do content on my own cars, or I'd go get my aunt's car and I'd be like, hey, let me just do this. It didn't matter whose it was. I was showing paint correction one way or another. I was doing before and afters on interiors one way or another. I didn't have to have a client's car there. I would just go find other clients. I'd go to a body shop and get a panel and just do content on a panel. They didn't know that it was a full car or not. It was just me showing what I can do. So yeah, I think times they're gonna continue to get hard, but we got to embrace that suck, and it's what we're doing with our time. That's gonna push us forward.
We started something different. Is that everybody that inquires about training is within a week, I send them a video message via text and just thank them for reaching out to us. And, it's a small number that get back in touch with. That's all we need is a small number. Kevin already said that. So right now I'm averaging about 10% respond back really positive, like blown away. Well, we're only going to probably do business with 5%. So that's double really what I need. So I'm doubling my chances and I'm filling up my pipeline for the next 2 to 3 years. And that's what you got to look at it. And, I gave, again, is that hunting? Yeah. Where did I learn that from? Did the same thing when text messaging first came out, is that we used that in the same way. We would talk to somebody about a service, and the next day I would send them a little video message via text message and just tell them, thank you for the opportunity. It was great to give you a price on your car. Should you have any questions, give us a call. Make sure to go check out our website. Is that we're here to, we've got open garages. Stop by the shop and have a fresh cup of coffee with me. We're really inviting, and had that, Mark Johnson just said something about Chick-fil-A, the next mile. Everybody knows about the extra mile, but Chick-fil-A, it's better to go to the next mile, right? Mm-hmm. We went and we're going that extra mile. So great illustration. So I walked in, okay, one local business kind of dropped the ball, but I wasn't mad at them because I kind of dropped it too. I didn't follow up. I dropped it. So when I walked in, he goes, oh, he knew right then and there. And I went, dang it. Right. So I knew it. But here's the thing. We'd never done business with them. I always wanted to. They've got an attractive store. The way he handled it. And then he even said, hey, before we move on this, why don't you go over to, the other company and just see what they've got. He sent me, and it was in that other company's who I've done business with. And it was a horrible experience. Where's my top of mind now? Mm-hmm. I'll probably never go back to the other company again. They broke it. They didn't show us. They don't want my business. That other guy was so polite and owned it, and then tried to help rectify it. He made a mistake, but yet I'm praising him today.
Yeah. Yeah. Having that, being able to deal with those problems and being able to, Chris, I know, is really good at kind of dealing with this, hey, he shot a video last night. And he's like giving these points and tips and all that. And he's like, oh, so all of my competitors, this is good information for you also. So you can copy this from us, which I thought was hilarious. But one of the things that Oscar said, this is a rainy week, right? In Southern California. Do you offer windshield coatings and glass coatings? If you do, and you don't have a crap ton of content on what that looks like on glass, guess what? It's a perfect opportunity.
Yeah. Go do your own.
Set your phone up on your dash, hit record, and then start driving. Don't be doing both at the same time like we see all the time. But go shoot content for that's a great time to get beading shots and hydrophobic and hydrophilic and all of that stuff. You have to change, and all that goes to mindset. And that's what we're talking about. This be optimistic and win. That's a mindset shift. And if you stop, I'm a big stop your whining kind of a guy and just do what you need to do. Stop whining about how slow you are and figure out what you need to do to keep yourself busy and to make differences in your job.
Hey, Todd on here just made a great reference, and he goes, what do you do when you get to the price point and it kind of goes cold, here's the biggest thing. And I'll say it right now I've got a Garmin watch on, right? I love watches. There's a story behind this one. Every one of my watches has got a story. But I started out in a Timex I've always had a thing for watches. Well, Timexes were like, $7 when I was a kid. And so then I went up to the next level. I kept going up. But when I was 13 years old, I saw my first Breitling. And the guy was a pilot, and he wore it, and he was like a Greek god, with this Breitling on, right? So Breitling doesn't give discounts. You're not going to go into Rolex. what they did from the time I was 13 and that guy getting out of that airplane and me relating that watch, that cool looking watch, to an airplane, to a dude that I could kind of imagine me wanting to be one day in life, groomed me. And eventually I got to their price point where I own two Breitlings. I'm not their average I'm not their average customer. Their average customer could, stamp me out in 2 seconds. My point to this is you're not going to be at the right price point with everybody right now. But start grooming them. Separate people from what are you looking for, quality or price. Also redesign your menu right now. If people aren't buying high-end paint corrections, do wash, clays, and protects for $150. I can make $100 an hour on it. Do wash, clay, coats. Is if people want something coated, my truck is right behind us. You can kind of see the front end of it. It's still not. It's our overland rig. It's still not corrected, but I got coating on it to protect it when I'm out in the field. And so changing your mindset. And then what do all the big restaurants? Restaurants spend a huge amount doing A/B testing on their menus. Is start throwing things out there and start leading in with different things. Your market's going to shift and change. And even if I had to do it all over again, is going out and doing a wash, clay, protect. I'm going to throw a little plug out, bead maker, or a wash clay coat with Defender, or a wash clay coat with Legend, and not touch paint correction in an economy like this. I can tell you what, I've got a lot more fish coming to that bait.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if I could tag on to that, exactly what he said is he asked, what do you do when a lead goes, quiet? So I'll give you kind of a real world scenario. Is like one of the first roles I ever hired for at Roadmap was a sales guy. I was scared to give that away because I love talking to people more than anything, despite me being completely cold and silent right here. So I was training this new sales guy. I was teaching him why we're the best, showing him the results, why we're the best. And I noticed he wasn't selling right away. He wasn't converting, but he was super nice guy and he knows how to talk to people. And I listened in on one of his calls, and I'm going to give you two ends of the spectrum of the lead going cold. One is if you gave a price within 90 seconds, you lost. That's my MO. Amen. If you're not having a conversation of like talking to someone and really developing a plan for their success, not what you want to sell, but what they want to buy, like, hey, I'm going to only keep the car for a couple of years. Well, maybe we don't sell them a 5-year coating with PPF that's upside down on the inside of the car, like maybe, just, you got to really listen to what people want. And once I told him, like, if you give a price within 10 minutes, and I kept stretching it out, I go 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, his close rate went from 24% to 60%. And Pat probably closes around 85% right now. Mm. If you are giving those prices out right off the bat, starting at prices, I'm cool with personally because
amen.
If it tells you the region you need to be in. But if you gave a price right off the bat, you gave them no reason to understand why you're different, why you're selecting X, Y, and Z. And then if the lead goes cold, the real thing is, and I love this, there's programs called Go High Level, Active Campaign, MailChimp can do this. Let's say you get a PPF lead in, he goes cold, can't get him back on the phone, whatever, it happens to all of us. I would just drop that name into a campaign in MailChimp of 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 different videos or emails of like why you guys are the best, what you should look for on PPF. Don't buy PPF because of this. Why ceramic coating's not as, you could keep going back and forth. But that goes back into that I touch people again, right? That nurture sequence. So that's kind of what I would do if I had someone go cold. Is I wouldn't take it personal. I would take it as a challenge of like, let's say 6 emails can I feed them over 6 months that will tell them they're going to choose wrong if they save $200 down the street.
Well, I'll tell you, it's you just nailed it. And again, having you look at a diverse a diverse, simple menu. We had 5 things on our menu. That was it. 5 things. Now we had off menu. You know, we had things that we could take. Right there's my alarm going off. Say my chiropractor. Um, we had off menu, but those are all specialty things. We're gonna have a discussion about that anyway. You know, that's going to be specialty needs, dog hair, odors, you know, scratches. We're not going to put a price on that, you know, because how can you? You know, it's now they're not paying for your time; they're paying for your expertise. That's when the steak gets a little thick, you know. I kind of like that, but it's you know, it just redefined. You know, we have a lot of people, you know, asking. We just shot a video on Wash Clay Protect and Wash Clay Coat, I think. We did a whole video, like a 17-hour day last week, filming video. So we're going to come out with this stuff. So stay tuned for that one. But, you know, I look at a lot of people too. And the other thing that I think people make a mistake from is they don't sell from their menu, is they're selling from the hip, is they're just pulling out like a Wild West and they're looking at the car. No, man, get your phone up, get your tablet up, have it up on, and to project a menu onto a TV now is like nothing. You know, I mean, every TV in the world does. You can do it from your iPhone. You can pull your and take and show it right on your TV. Why sell from the menu? Because you're going to stay true to yourself. You're going to make less mistakes that way, and also it gives them for somebody that's like me, I'm very visual. They're going to hear you talking and explaining it. And they're going to see it, and I think that's really important.
You know, another thing, Renny, is, you know, pitching the prices. If I've never talked prices, you know, when I get a text or a call or email that they want something, I'll give them a call, I'll follow up. And the first thing they want to know is, you know, well, how much is this going to cost me? You know, and what I do is my goal is to get them in the shop. You know, I don't really discuss prices over the phone. I got to see the vehicle. This is why I give them the why. I got to see the vehicle first and inspect the vehicle. Then when they're there, I set up, I do the research on the vehicle. I'm asking all the right questions. So when they know, I set up my cart, and like you've taught me, is I put a show on for them. It's all a show at that point. And I show them, and I say the power of the gas cap. I always go to the gas cover and I always do my sample on that. Like I do my test spot on that. Said, hey, we can do this. And to go back to Todd, I hope he's still on, is how do you sell that? I only sell 1 step, 2 steps, and 3 coatings. That's what I do. But can I do a Wash Clay Protect? Because while I'm there, I'm also asking, what's their end state? What do they want? You know, like Chris said, is like, you're going to keep the car for 3 years, or is this a car you're going to keep forever? Then let's go all out. I always ask what they want, and I'm not afraid to ask, what's your budget? What are you really looking to invest in your vehicle? I don't say spend, it's invest, because it's an investment in your vehicle. What are we working with here? Because I don't want to come in and do a 2-step and a 5-year coating, make it a show car, you know, and they're going to start running it through the car wash. That's another thing. It's like, hey, if you're running your car through a car wash, a coating is probably not for you, and this is why. You're going to deteriorate it really quick. And now they're like, okay, this guy wants to save me money, so now I want to spend money with him. And that's where the education comes in. And then when it's all said and done, if I can't get them on a 1-step or a 2-step in coatings, hey, we can do a Wash Clay Protect 175. You'll have it this afternoon. You know, if you know it's gonna be that quick. And that's how I kind of close it in. But I don't even advertise Wash Clay Protects, you know, in a menu in my shop or anything, because it's just, that's not what I do. And when I get the phone calls for interiors, I refer a lot of that stuff out. Obviously, I'm not doing it full time anymore, but it's how you present yourself with it when it comes to closing prices. Have I had given out prices and people don't call me back? Yeah, we're just not meant for each other. You know, we're just not. A lot of people, they just don't want to spend. They want the high-end details. They want the 5-year coatings, but they want to pay for a Wash Clay Protect. It's just not going to work. It's okay to say no and to walk away from those deals.
So here's an interesting thing, though. You're an entrepreneur, right? So you went from Chris Woolman's the same way. As you guys took and had pretty good gigs going, but you saw opportunities within companies to still be an entrepreneur, an entrepreneur within those companies. Kevin did the same thing. I mean, basically, I did the same thing. Look for opportunities, guys and gals. Look for opportunities. It's out there. Let me explain something, then we'll kind of wrap it up. I watch a lot of markets. I watch real estate. desirable homes, even here in town. There was one, because we really want to buy a piece of property and put our students, we put them in a hotel right now, right? So, we'd like to make the investment into a home. Man, I found the ideal one. And I was like, Diane, let's go. Good friend of mine that she's a realtor here in town. I said, let's talk to her. I couldn't get that out of my mouth, and it came up under contract. It sold that fast. So desirable things. Gulfstream Aircraft has still got a backlog of years. Okay. But let's see how that filters down. Okay. So Gulfstream at the top they've got a waiting list for years. So that money's not going away. So if you're in a market that's got that money, somehow you got to tap into that money, right? Then you come down to the mid-grade private jets. They've slowed down a little bit. You can find them. You can now go find secondary jets that are maybe somebody bought, just like we did as detailers. We had so many people rush into the industry and see, easy money. And a lot of people invested in jets thinking, hey, I need a jet. And now all of a sudden they're realizing, hey, I can't afford a jet. And so you've got some entry level or mid-level jets on the market ready to rock and roll. You don't have to wait in line. Still got to wait in line for the Gulfstream. Then you come down into the general aviation, the propeller planes. Is that I was talking to a guy. There's been an airplane. I posted a picture of the dash on it yesterday, and the plane was about $175,000 new. Okay, 2 years ago. It jumped up to, they put $100,000 markup on it just because they could.
Mm-hmm.
Now they would get one on, it's built over in Europe. They would get one here, gone. Get one here, gone. Or they're even, you had to order them. And it was 3, 4, 5 months before you could even get it here and then have yours. Now, 2 of them sitting. And so I've been talking to the guy, and I'm sitting there and I'm going, not going to pay $100,000 markup for something. Not going to do it. I'm not paying for your house in Florida. It's not going to happen. And so things are sitting. That's why it's not just, the reason why I say this is that it's an opportunity time too. It's a great time to make money in different ways. It's a great time to, the car market is going to crash. Even some of the Porsche freaks, Porsche's a freak of nature, the value of Porsche cars, right? But the standard Porsches are starting to suffer a little bit. Special Porsches will always stay where they're at. They're gonna stay where they're at. But the common Porsche is starting to be affected. The price it's correcting. And so I think that you look at your market, the truck market's starting to correct. Contractors spend money, and the high-end contractors, we made a lot of money off of detailing. The contractors here are still, even right now, they're booked out 6 to 12 months. You can't get anything. There's no way somebody's going to build you a house right now in our town. And we're getting hit hard because we're a resort community, but we're still 6 to 12 months out with contractors. There's some happy hunting right there. They're still making money. Will they be in a year? Yeah, I think they will. I think they will. The high-end ones, they don't care. They're going to let the low-end ones go out of business, and they're going to capture all the high-end stuff when this thing starts coming back. And it will come back. It doesn't last long. Even at 2008, by 2010, and that sounds like 2 years, wow, we all survived it. We survived it. We were there. It sucked. Oscar said, endure the suck. We endured it. And by 2010, honestly, by 2011, I did 17 5-day trainings in a row. I had a friend coming in and sticking me with an IV. I was so worn out.
Wow.
Seriously. And so do you think that was opportunity? Opportunity's there. You just got to go find it.
I wish I had bought about 12 houses in 2009.
Oh,
that was a great time to buy houses
in Las Vegas or Florida.
Yeah.
To where it just came down. It was like, these houses that were $280,000 are like $37,000.
Yep. Fort Myers, $15,000 for a 2-bedroom condo.
Right. It's like, wow. But it's in those opportunities in those markets still, they could come up. That's what we're looking for, is opportunity. So, but that sounds like big plans if you're just starting out. No, it's not. It's doable. Don't limit yourself. Be optimistic and know you're going to do this thing. and start looking out there and start building it up. You know, I love what I'm a huge fan of Steve Harvey, but he said this once he started kind of making it, he started flying first class because it changed his opinion of himself.
Mm-hmm.
Is that he felt better about himself. And he said, even if he couldn't afford it, he still did it because he wanted to feel good. And it kind of raised his expectations for himself.
His net worth is about $300 million, by the way, now. And he was completely broke when he started.
300 million, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. You look at Joe Rogan, man, you know, fear factor, making people eat worms.
Fear is not a factor for me, Joe Rogan.
That's it. That's exactly it. Well, hey, gents, any closing thoughts before we get out of here?
Nah, I mean, you know, if we're pushing the self-promotion button, give us a call at Detailers Roadmap. Honk, honk. We're going to be nurturing you for 12 months.
There you go. I like it. Hey, I was stuck in a van, not stuck. I was in a van at Monterey with Chris.
I knew this was coming up.
Holy shit. My mouth hurt so bad for 2 or 3 days after that event from laughing our asses off. We were so inappropriate at times. It was just amazing. It was absolutely an honor to sit there and share it with you. So
it was a good time. It was one of the best times I had this year for sure. Definitely.
Yeah, it was. So yeah, plug away. Kevin?
Oh, I'd just say be hopeful. You know, this is a great time of year to be hopeful. Optimism and hopefulness go hand in hand. No, like you have to believe in your mind and in your heart that whatever struggles you're facing right now, take that snapshot and know that 6 months, 12 months, 18 months from now, you'll look back and say, what a great benchmark. Look at this snapshot of my checking account then and how it looks right now.
Oscar?
You got to take it back to my Marine Corps days. Embrace the suck. It's only going to, tough times make you stronger. It does, it does. Tough times make us stronger. You're going to get through this. Reach out to the right or to the left, to a mentor to help you with these tough times. Look me up, I've already had 2 people send me messages while we're on here on Instagram, things that I've said. It's, just reach out to the people, look into it. But really, when I say embrace the suck, it's not to be mean or anything. It's just enjoy it. Cause it's, if you can survive this, the next time around, it's going to be nothing. That's why some people are doing good. Some people are staying busy right now. And they're saying slow times. I'm busier than ever right now.
Yep.
I'm busier than ever. Why? Because they and then for the detailers is don't go out and get the latest and greatest. This is the time to be thrifty about your things and be smart about it. Invest in the right things. You don't need the latest and greatest out there. Invest in what's going to make you invest on the website instead of another polisher. If you already have a polisher, continue to use it. Invest in the tools that's going to make you successful.
Except I think everybody needs a Dynabraid Renny Doyle series under the Christmas tree.
I was just going to say the same thing. There needs to be one of those under every detailer's Christmas tree.
Mate, just sell your other crappy ones. That's how that's your thriftiness. Use that money to pay for the Dynabraid, right?
And then a gallon of bead maker and some Defender, and some Pearl soap.
Hey, I'm like this, right? I got to go get a pegboard to put up all my polishers, and I'm actually trying to win the one. They're raffling it off over there in Mexico. I was messaging them right now. They're actually, they're everywhere right now. And I already got 2 of them. So it's like.
I'm going to leave it with this, and then Chris will take us out of here.
I actually have a little comment too, Renny, if you want to hold your thought.
Yeah, do it.
I just wanted to come back to what Chris said. Chris said earlier in the podcast about looking back on your year at all the cool things you accomplished. And, I think everybody should do that. And there's so many actual lessons in that. One, you look back and you could realize how grateful you are for what you did accomplish, what you had. You could feel better about yourself for what you did accomplish, the things you maybe forgot about. And then it can help you plan for the next year. How you going to top it? What are you going to do differently? That kind of thing. But it also, reminds me of how important it is. We like to document our family lives, pictures, whether we keep a journal or whatever, but we need to document our businesses, and keep a history of our businesses. If they ever come up for sale someday, that's going to be valuable information, a valuable look back, but it's just probably all around good thing to do.
I love it. I love it. You know, couple things will take us out of here is, you know, so many great people that we support, and we just, you know, you guys are part of that, right? And being part and seeing all the tribes come together, you know, at the party at SEMA this year, at our party, our industry party. It's not, you know, we proved it this year. We're an industry, you know, we are finally an industry, and seeing you guys come together and support that. And, you know, Kevin, you and Michelle have done that for over a decade with us, you know, one of our earliest. But I want to leave this with a little bit. Somebody said it. I'm sorry, I didn't capture who. You know, faith is such a big part of our lives, whether it's faith in yourself or faith in yourself in a higher power, you know, whatever you call that. This time of year is special. And I use this, and it's corny, but, you know, I prioritized, and I decided that to stop sprinkling my life into my business. And I decided next year I'm taking, I'm sprinkling my business into my life. And I had it going like that for a long time. And you just start building things, and it kind of gets out of hand, right? It becomes this huge wave in your life, and you're riding it, and I'm blessed to do it. But, you know, live in the present. And the reason why they call it the present is because it's a gift. Live today. You don't know what's going to hit tomorrow. Be thankful. And God bless you all. Thanks for coming on, and Merry Christmas to you and yours. We're going to be out of here until after the new year. We are done. This is the wrap up. And we thank you guys for coming on. You guys
Thanks,
are good
Renny.
people.
Appreciate you, man.
Yeah,
You guys
thanks
are
for having us.
good people and good friends. And thanks for feeding the industry with us, giving them good information.
Go celebrate a win today, everybody. At least one win at the end of your day. I want you to celebrate it.
Yeah. Well, thank you all. You guys
Merry
all
Christmas.
take care. We'll see you guys later.
Thanks for listening to the Renny Doyle podcast, brought to you by Detailing Success and PNS Double Black. Listen to new episodes weekly, and be sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. And don't forget to share with your friends and colleagues.